Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are starting a new chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 15, which is also called Purushottam Yoga, text number 1. श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." Purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its root upward, but there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree, and from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then the five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, the Shendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees, and the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is a perverted reflection, so the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord Himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead Himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. A very nice, long, descriptive purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation once again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So this chapter, number 15, which is also called Purushottama Yoga. Who is Purushottama? The topmost Purusha, the topmost, that means the Supreme Being. And this chapter is Yoga of this Supreme Person. That is this chapter. So we will see, today I'll only cover the first verse because it's very elaborate and there is a lot to learn from this one verse. Now, verse 1 through 5, Krishna is going to teach Arjuna how to become detached from this material world. In other words, how to go back to Godhead based on qualifications. And he'll also explain the qualifications. Now, verses 6 through 11, Krishna gives the description of the spiritual world and also talks about how we living entities are again and again going through this cycle of birth and death. We are just wandering from one branch to another, which means one body to another. Verses 12 through 15, Krishna will again talk about him being the super soul and how he's maintaining the whole creation. And the final verses 16 through 20, there are only 20 verses in this chapter, he will give the essence of the Vedanta Sutra. He will talk about Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. What does that mean? Sambandha is a relationship. Abhideya is following that process. And Prayojana is the goal that we receive by this process. So basically, Krishna will explain how to get attached to him, to Krishna, and go back to Godhead. And that is why this knowledge is considered, he says this is the highest secret. This knowledge is the highest secret. Now, in the very last verse of this chapter, I'm just giving you an overview before I start on verse number 1. Last verse, Krishna explains how did we come to this material world, how to conquer the weakness of heart, the weak points, and also how to give up the desire to lord it over. This is there within us since time immemorial. We want to be the lords. We want to be the controllers. We want to, be the all in all, the cause of everything, but that is not possible. Now, coming to this verse, Krishna is explaining about the banyan tree. Now, this banyan tree is called Ashwatha. Shwa means tomorrow, Ashwa means not tomorrow, and Stha means to stay. Stay here. It means stay here. So, what is the meaning of Ashwatha, which means that which will not stay tomorrow, which means it is temporary. So, he's talking about this material world, comparing it to the banyan tree, which is called Ashwatha, which means that which is temporary. Now, when it says it will not exist tomorrow, so for devotees, it won't exist because they would get liberated and go back to Godhead. Whereas those who are not following this process, who are non devotees, their attachments to this material world will cease to exist. Why? Because the world is temporary, right? So, what do we see in this first verse? We see Krishna explains that there's a banyan tree, but it's upside down, right? So, the leaves and branches are down and the roots are up. And this, he says, is actually, it is only reflecting reality, because reality is something else, right? Reality is in the spiritual world, and here in material world is just a reflection. So when we say we go and stand near a lake or a pond, or whatever, some near a pool or water or whatever is there, we see the reflection, and the reflection is upside down, right? So this, just like this reflection rests on the water, similarly the tree rests upon the desires of living entities. And this banyan tree is actually entanglement in this material world. If we continue to do fruitive work, which means we work hard to enjoy the fruits of our activities, then there is no end to this tree, right? The branches of this tree, they, of course, the branches of this real tree, they produce offshoots, right? I don't know if you all have seen a banyan tree. It's really huge, and you will see, the branches also and the roots, they all, the offshoots, they start growing down, they start going down, and they go inside, and then, so it's like, I don't know if you all have seen a banyan tree. I sent you a picture in the WhatsApp group, right? So you can see the description of this chapter in there. So this reflected tree, it has endless complicated intertwined trunks and roots and branches. It's like everything all mixed up, it's all going. So those who are, Krishna is saying that those who are attached to this fruitive activities, I want to perform. Now Vedas also give us, knowledge about fruitive activities. So if one is attached to those fruitive activities, then there is no end to this banyan tree. Srila Prabhupada explains nicely that then if we are attached, then we are just wandering from one branch to another. If we are attached, we cannot get liberated. So it is also mentioned that one cannot understand where it begins and where it ends, or where is the foundation. Now, if we are looking at a banyan tree, it'll be very hard to figure out which branch, is, going down or is going up, or which branch is entangled or intertwined with another one, or is it intertwined with the roots. It's very difficult to figure that out. So similarly, the soul remains entrapped in this tree, which means is entrapped in these fruitive activities, and the living entity is enamored by the taste of the fruits and berries of this tree, which means in this material world, the living entity is wanting to enjoy the senses, want to, engage in full sense gratification, and then get more and more entrapped. The only way to come out of this entrapment or entanglement is to understand this tree. Now, Krishna has already talked about the process, right? He in chapter number 3, Karma Yoga, he says, Yagnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Tad artham karma kanteya mukta sangha samachar. He gives the knowledge that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage. So if we do not work for the satisfaction of the Lord, then we will continue to remain entangled, and we will continue to not get liberated. There will be no liberation at all. So work for Krishna, what does that mean? It means follow the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and perform devotional service. By the method of devotional service, we will learn how to detach ourselves. See, affection will stay, but the attachment is going to go away. How can we detach ourselves? By attaching ourselves to something superior, right? If we attach ourselves to loving service to Krishna, then we will automatically get detached from material entanglement. See, so constant practice is very essential. Now, in this verse also and the purport, there's explanation of the Vedic hymns. The leaves of the tree are like the Vedic hymns, and these hymns, they can elevate us. Srila Prabhupada explains. He says the roots are going upwards. Why? Because it begins from Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is the highest material planet, right? From there, the whole universe expands, right? So these, of course, the leaves are the Vedic hymns, and the branches, they actually are compared to the different planetary systems. And the fruits of the tree, they represent the results of our activities. Now this reflection of this banyan tree that we're talking about, it is situated on desire, like the tree's reflection on the water, right? The desire is the cause, right? The desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. Now, to cut this tree, we need to understand this tree. We need to understand how? By analytical study. Srila Prabhupada says we need to analyze, we need to understand this, we need to understand the constituents, we need to understand how these 24 elements work. We have to analyze each and every part of the tree. Now, if you look at the picture that I sent, it gives very nice description. Right on top is desire, and then you can see Vedic hymns, the leaves, and all that. So, if we can understand each and every part of the tree, then we will be able to cut down this tree. Now, it doesn't mean literally cut down this tree, but get detached from this material world. So, one may see the reflection in the mirror, right? But once the mirror is removed, the person is still there, right? If I'm looking in the mirror, if the mirror is removed, I'm still there. It's just that the reflection is gone, right? So that reflection is temporary. It is like temporary, like the material world. But the person is still there, like the spiritual world is always there. So that we need to understand somehow or the other. So everything is there in the spiritual world. Now, the impersonalists, they say that the root of the tree is Brahman. If you remember, we learned the three aspects of self-realization. One is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So this is what the personalists say. They say from root comes Prakriti, and which is, of course, the external energy. And then a Purusha is the Supreme Lord, and the gunas also, the material modes of material nature. So these modes of material nature, they entangle us. If you remember in chapter 14, which is entitled Modes of Material Nature, we got the knowledge how one can get entangled in these modes. Sometimes we are in the mode of ignorance, sometimes passion, sometimes goodness, and sometimes mixed, different mixed modes of material nature. But we need to transcend these three modes of material nature. So, in this verse, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So sometimes it is seen and sometimes not. But the origin, which is the spiritual world, is real and permanent. Why does Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says Dukhalayam Ashashvatam? Because that is a fact. This place is Dukhalayam, means place of misery, and Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means it is temporary. So material reflection of the real tree needs to be cut off. To do that, we need to understand the Vedas. We need to understand the process of devotional service. In this chapter itself, when we come to verse number 15, Krishna says, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo, Vedanta krit veda vid eva cham. He says, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and from the Vedas, I am to be known. So the goal and purpose of knowing Vedas is to understand Krishna. And that we can do only if we can understand Bhagavad Gita, the instructions, and performing devotional service. So we hear and then we practice. So it is, then we change jnana into vijnana, right? Just like, we have heard Bhagavad Gita a couple of times, and now we have almost reached towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Now it's chapter number 15, and soon we will come to chapter number 18, which is again the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. But what is the bottom line of it? Devotional service. Krishna says, surrender unto me, give up all varieties of religion, surrender unto me, and then he will protect us. So whatever we do here will stay here. We cannot take it with us after death, right? That we cannot do. But whatever spiritual balance that we gather, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting, following Bhagavad Gita, all that we will take with us to our next life. If somehow or the other we are not qualified to, uh, you know, um, liberate ourselves, qualified to go back to the spiritual world, we take on another body, but we will take this spiritual bank balance with us to our next life. So it's very, very important that we follow the process of devotional service. Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Dadami buddhi. What is buddhi? Intelligence. He said, if one worships me with love and devotion, then I give them the intelligence. We cannot understand Krishna on our own. We can only understand when Krishna wants to give us that intelligence to understand him. And on what basis is he going to do that? He says, Ye yathama prapadante tams tatheva bhajamyam. As one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. This is what Krishna says. So if we want to be blessed by the Supreme Lord, if we want his mercy, if we want to be protected by him, then we need to follow his instructions. His main instruction is, first of all, to understand I am not this body, right? I am a spirit soul. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. Krishna says there's neither birth nor death for the soul. The soul is eternal, everlasting, ever existing. So that is the basic understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So once we understand that, then we need to build up on more knowledge. Then we need to understand, who is Krishna. Then we need to understand, how does this material nature work? How does the eternal time work? But most importantly, how can I change my karma? Right? We have a baggage of karma with us from our previous life or previous lifetimes, and we are carrying that heavy load with us. How do we get rid of that excess baggage? How do we get rid of all that past karma? Krishna says it's very simple. If we chant, that is the reason I keep, insisting, I keep reminding y'all that please, those of you who are not chanting, please start chanting. Start with one round. It's very, very simple. It only takes 8 to 10 minutes to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna says, Manushya Partha Sarvashaha. Everyone has to follow this path. Now we may follow it now that we have the opportunity to hear about it, and we can follow it now, or we can keep it for later on, and we may not get another opportunity to hear Bhagavad Gita and follow it in future. So we have to be very, very, very careful not to waste this human form of life, which is very difficult to obtain. 8.4 million species of life. We have been going through all those different species, and finally we have got this rare human form of life. So we need to make the best use of this rare human form of life. Krishna tells Arjuna that this body is like a boat. It's like a boat on which the soul is residing, and this body can be taken across this vast material ocean, and take on the other side, take you on the other side of the ocean and take you back to Godhead. The only thing that is required is to follow the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. What does this today's verse say? It says that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Now, what does it mean, knower of the Vedas? It doesn't mean that we have to memorize the Sanskrit from the Vedas. It doesn't mean that we have to, read through all the Vedas, which no one can do in one lifetime. It's not possible. That is why Srila Vyasadeva, he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of the Vedic literature. That Srimad Bhagavatam, some people also find it very vast. So the essence of that is there in the Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is so very logical and scientific that if we put it into our lives, practice it in our lives, then we will see that we are becoming more and more satisfied. More, the senses are controlled, and we are more and more happy and peaceful. If you remember in chapter 5, the very last verse, Krishna tells Arjuna, Bhoktaram yagnas tapasam sarvalokam maheshwara suridam sarvabhutanam natmamam shantim richati. Shantim means peace. He's given us a peace formula. How merciful is Krishna, right? He is giving us, knowledge on how we can make the best use of this human form of life, use our philosophical intelligence, and understand that this place is a place of misery. And if we can understand, if one, Krishna says, if one is in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices, he is the controller, he is the source of all planets and demigods, and then person will get free from the pangs of this material miseries. I don't think there's anyone here in this material world who can say, I am not suffering. It could be any kind of suffering. It could be physical, it could be mental, psychological, miseries coming from other living entities, miseries coming from the material nature. And then, of course, birth, disease, old age, death are also miseries of life. So we are suffering in this material world, but the good thing that is there, in fact, the best thing that is there is that we have Bhagavad Gita amongst us. There are so many people living in Atlanta, and only just a few of us are right now listening to Bhagavad Gita, right? Why? Because it is very rare. To have access to Bhagavad Gita is very rare. To have access to Srila Prabhupada's purports is very rare. To have access to association of devotees is very rare. To have access to the Maha Mantra is very, very rare. So we must, like Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nischaya Dhairya, that we must be enthusiastic about devotional service. We must, of course, have patience and tolerance too, but we must be enthusiastic about following Krishna consciousness. So this chapter number 15, about, which is of course the Purushottam Yoga, which is the very first verse that we did. And here we can see how Krishna is making us understand that this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, right? So whatever is there in the spiritual world, it is over here too, but it is just a reflection. Is the reflection permanent? No. Reflection is always temporary. So I'm going to end here. If anyone has any questions, they can ask.